everyone, and welcome to the show. This episode, I'm going to free flow a little bit here because I know that I want to record a solo episode for this coming week. And I thought about writing out some notes and some very specific bullet points on what I want to talk about, but I feel like I just want to kind of speak out loud as to what my experience over the last 6 months has been and how I've really defined what it means to reclaim your higher self. And I use those words because this is something that I believe that I've tapped into myself. And I'll explain why and how that has transpired. And it also gives me an opportunity to tell you, the person that's listening and watching this, about how you can take a step in that direction. If you are hearing what I'm saying, if you're consuming any of my content right now, and I should say actually even too, if you've consumed my content in the past and have noticed how I'm communicating just in the last like 23 or 24 days or so, you'll notice that I'm speaking out loud about a lot of topics that I might have hesitated to speak about in the past. And there's a reason for this. Now, there's a couple of reasons. Number one is the container that I've co-created with Danielle Grant, which we call the Source Collective and the Source Network and all of these other pieces that are a part of this. Part of that process and part of that experience with the people that we've attracted into this container is to actually show up every single day for 30 days and speak the truth. That was the challenge that we put out. So it was Danielle really led the charge on it and said, here's what we're going to do for the next 30 days. And full transparency, when we started our collective, the Source Collective, we had a general idea of what we wanted it to be. We knew we didn't want it to be a mastermind, because a mastermind in the traditional sense is, a bunch of business people that get together to solve problems. And naturally, there's a lot of elements of like elevated conversations and really truly higher self that gets unveiled as a result of being around other exceptional people that want to rise up. But a lot of times a mastermind is kind of wrapped around the context of business and money and that type of thing. And we knew that that was going to be a piece of what we were creating, but we knew it wasn't the only thing. And then of course we knew that we didn't want it to just be a bunch of videos and an online course or anything like that. But at the same time, we knew it would be partially that. And we also knew that we wanted to have a community, but we didn't want it to be a place where, there was this constant element of staying stuck in these trauma loops, for lack of a better term. And what I mean by that is that what I've gone on my own journey over the last 6 months is to really ask the question, what am I here to do? What does my life mean? What does life mean, for that matter? What does death mean? All of these really deep questions where I didn't even know the question to ask, but I just knew that I had to explore this space and I had to kind of tap into it. And I found throughout that experience, and I'll go a little deeper on this, but what I found was that the answer was always within me. I always knew the answer. I always knew exactly what I should be doing, the next step I should be taking, the habits I should be creating in my life, but there was something stopping me from doing that. And most of the time it was here. It was this intellectual brain wanting to solve a problem, right? Saying, I'm really smart. You put a problem in front of me, I'll figure it out, or I'll find somebody that can, or I'll spend money to solve it. And while that served me very well over 15 years plus as an entrepreneur, I hit a point where I just hit a wall and I thought, this can't be it. Like, I see this life, I see this inner peace that's available to me, but I didn't know how to access it. And I guess I say that out loud because it kind of ties to this content. I guess you would call it a challenge, even though it's more just a habit creation. It's not even a challenge. But we've all been working towards just creating every single day and leaning in and speaking the truth. And when I say the truth, that stuff that you have in your head, those stories that you tell yourself, whether they're positive or negative, and you just never say it out loud because you're worried, geez, I don't want to offend anybody, or geez, I don't want somebody to get angry with me, or what if my employer sees this and I get fired, or what if my clients see it and they don't like it and they fire me? All of these negative fears of the worst possible scenarios. And then we hold back from speaking the truth. What this has done just in the last 23 days, as of the time that I've recorded this podcast episode, is really unlocked and allowed me to lean into those stories, those conversations, those topics that I know I get to say out loud because the world deserves to hear them. They get to hear the truth of my journey. They get to hear the truth of what I've learned in the last 6 months, where I didn't even see what was possible before now. And they too get to realize that they have the ability to access that within themselves as well. And this whole idea of higher self is one that I know when I first heard the term, like Danielle presented it to me and said, you know, we're going to work together and you will reclaim your higher self. I thought, okay, well, where is this thing? You know, like where can I, and is there a way for me to shortcut my way to it? Can I hack my way to it? This is how I defaulted to all the time, right? I found a piece of software. I hired the consultant. I had somebody do something for me. I outsourced something. And I had to realize that no, it was me. It's in me. And the only way for me to access it is to actually slow down, pay attention, embrace the struggle, love it, love the shit out of the struggle, see all of the stories that we have truly experienced in our lives, but then also wrapped this story around. Hence going back to the whole idea of a trauma loop. You know, we all as human beings have had painful things happen to us, whether it's physically to us or the loss of others, like the death of others. And this has been amplified, obviously, in the last couple of years with the amount of death that we're seeing in the world, or just straight up a death of an identity. You know, you had defined yourself in a certain way and you rose, and then maybe you got to that summit that you thought that you wanted to get to and it didn't feel as fulfilling as you thought it would. Or maybe you never did get there and there was this feeling of shame or this, where you feel like you can't actually speak the truth out loud. And I know one of the things that I shared in the last 23 days was going through a class in university where I took an entrepreneurship class and we had to come up with an idea and present it. And I realized really quickly, because I had such a great group of people around me, that I was around some really smart people that knew the financial side of things and some really smart people that knew how to write the business plan and the marketing plan. And my role was going to be to present it, to be enrolling and to get on that stage. And I did. That was actually one of the very first experiences. You know, I had a few other times standing in front of classes and presenting stuff or being interviewed on the news because I used to play some hockey and stuff too. So I'd do some good old hockey interviews. Yeah, you know, the boys are really working hard tonight. And those kind of interviews. But anyways, I leaned into that at that time. And I told the story of the idea that we had, which we called Quick Bites. And we actually won 4th place in this competition. And for those of you that know, which I'm sure everybody knows this by now, but like Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, what is there, DoorDash, there's a whole bunch of them that are food delivery services. That was our idea in 2003, way ahead of its time. You know, I think even in the presentation, I think I actually used a flip phone to make the order, like hypothetically make the order. And then chicken wings showed up for all the judges and stuff. And they're like, ooh, this is a good idea, right? But it was way too early. But that was just one of many instances where I can look back and say, I had a great idea. I didn't take action on it. And it went on to become a multi-million, in some cases, $billion idea. And I said that out loud because, one, I just think it's an interesting story that people might be able to relate to. And I don't hold on to any, resentments or feeling of like, man, that was my shot or anything like that. But I do know people that have incredible gifts, incredible talent, incredible visions. And I watch those ideas come to life, but not by them. And why? I ask myself, why? Why is that? And this is some of the things that I've dove deep on in the last 6 months is say like, why? Why do I do this? Why do I have something that shows up in front of me and says, here it is, everything that you've ever desired. And then I don't pay attention to it because I'm so focused on some other thing that I'm quite frankly ignoring the thing that's just slapping me in the face and saying, go this direction. And that's not to say that the path of least resistance is always the way to go. Sometimes we get to muscle through things. Sometimes we get to lean in to hard shit. It's no different than my experience in doing cold plunging for the last, I guess, like 4.5 months or so. That was part of the reason I did it, was because I knew I wanted to train myself to say, life is going to continue to throw things at me. It's going to continue to say, you can't do that. And I get to say, well, I'm going to try and I'm going to push forward. Or in some cases, you know what? I'm going to surrender to that one and I'm going to go this direction. Whatever the case might be, there's all these different variables where life can take us down these different forks. And no matter which fork we take, though, we get to see them all as gifts, whatever the outcome is. Whether it's that business that you never took action on, whether it was that marriage that you had great intentions for, but then you didn't show up in that relationship. And then you had to take responsibility and ownership over that as opposed to blaming somebody else. And I'm speaking out loud from personal experience. That until we go through these things and we realize and we reflect back that, wow, all of this stuff actually brought me to here in this moment right now. You watching and listening to this right now, you are here because of the choices that you made. Just like me, I'm here because of the choices that I made. And while I am a believer in the law of attraction and that we can manifest our reality, I'm also a huge believer in the fact that we also have the ability to choose. And that committed action gets us moving in the right direction. And that momentum is what ultimately creates everything that we desire in life. And when we are conscious and we are attentive to the signs that show up in front of us that say, hey, here's something that you should really pay attention to. I know it doesn't make any sense, but you should really go do it. And I'm kind of going on a ramble here, but this feels good. But I'll give you a very specific example. So Mike Prince and I just got interviewed on a live stream, which I actually totally forgot that we were doing it all live. But he was asking us, he said, so when did you guys have the idea to create this retreat, the extremely conscious retreat? And Mike shared first, and he said, actually, Trevor and I went away to just do some e-foiling, went away for the night, had some drinks, just kind of hung out, just a bro night, And then we started tossing the idea around of like, yeah, we should do a retreat. And the idea was like, well, maybe in 6 months or a year or whatever. And then I had this gut feeling. There was something inside of me that was saying, we need to do this in the next 6 weeks. So I said it out loud, and Mike even admitted on the live cast, he's like, and I'm a bit of a yes man when it comes to inspiring ideas. So, but Mike did say yes. He said, let's do it. And it was that decision, which logically speaking, made no sense whatsoever. We both have families with wives and 2 young boys. Mike's running 2 other businesses. He has a full-time job. He's launching a podcast. All of these things are going on in his life, and they all have hiccups and snags within them too. I won't get into all the details, but each one of them has those kind of like, holy man, if this doesn't happen, then that's not going to happen. And I'm in the same boats, our family is moving to Costa Rica. So we've got a lot of planning to do. We got to rent our place. We had to find a place. We have a lot of travel happening right now. We were just in Vancouver. I'm running the Source Collective with Danielle. We're putting out all of these amazing resources for people to consume information and then to really sit with what they're learning, to integrate it, and then to be surrounded with others that are also on that journey, their soul tribe. We're doing all of these things. Logically speaking, it made no sense for us to plan a retreat. But we said, F it, let's do it. And collectively, we each have very complementary skills in the sense that Mike took on a lot of the responsibilities of finding the caterer and looking into the wine barrels that we ended up purchasing and cutting the tops off so that we can go and do cold plunging and finding the wood sauna. And, collectively, we both found the retreat location and all of these things. We just kind of collaborated. I put up a landing page in a day on a weekend and boom, we had this thing. And then we said, okay, well, let's start putting it out into the universe and see what happens. And we didn't run ads. We didn't, do mass marketing. We didn't email a list, anything like that. We contacted a handful of people that we said, I'd like to spend the weekend with that person. That person is operating in their life in a way that inspires me, that makes me want to spend more time with them. It's that whole analogy of like who we spend the most time with, the 5 people we spend the most time with, will directly reflect on how we show up in the world and who we become. So we just started from that and we thought, who would we want there? And just, it wasn't even like sit down for a whole day and make phone calls or anything. It was just kind of a few call outs. And we had 7 people within a week that said, I'm in, done. I need this right now. I need the connection, and everything else that you planned sounds amazing. They didn't need to know all the details. We don't even know all the details. Like, we kind of joked about it. This idea that, okay, it's in 10 days as of the time that I'm recording this. It's 10 days? 9 days. It's in 9 days. We don't even have the whole event planned yet. Like what we're going to do, the timing of everything. Where's everybody going to sleep? We know that we have the food ordered and we have the chalet and we've got all the other pieces. We don't even know if the lake's deep enough for us to do the e-foiling as of this moment right now. We got a pretty good sense that it's going to work, but if it doesn't, well, we're just going to adjust on the fly. But that was our higher self saying, you know what? My intuition, my gut is saying that now is the time. People are craving this. We're craving this. Why don't we lead with our hearts? Why don't we lead with the thing that lights us up, knowing that when we actually light our flames, when we flip on the switch in our lighthouse and say, hey, I'm over here focusing on being the conscious creator of my reality and knowing that I create everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. I want to spend more time with people that are in the same place that I am right now. Who wants to come? That's what we did. And people showed up. And they're continuing to show up. This is operating from a state of higher self. And I say that out loud because part of my reasoning for wanting to record this podcast was to tell everybody that watches this, that consumes this information, that this is accessible to you right now as well. And while I know that there's a lot of people that are like me more than 6 months ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago that's going to say, yeah, that doesn't seem real. Like, what do you mean everything that I desire is accessible to me right now? Like, how's that possible? I'm not making enough money right now. I need this partnership deal to go through. I just need to land a couple more clients and then I can afford to go do that thing. Oh, I'm way too busy to spend quality time with my kids because I really need to lean into my business right now. Oh, I don't got time to actually, drop and do some push-ups while my coffee's being made because, I just don't really want to, right? It's just all of these things that ultimately, when you add them all up, do stop you from actually attaining everything that you could possibly desire. So it's not one thing. It's not one thing. I'm not telling you that what Danielle and I have created in this video series called the Higher Self video series is a magic bullet. Quite frankly, it's not. And the other thing that I'll mention about it too is, without giving away the whole experience of what it will be, is that these videos, there's 5 of them, and they are released every single day. So you don't get access to all the videos up front. And that's intentional. That is intentional because old me would be irritated by that. I'd say, come on, just give me the videos. Let me go through them. Let me learn what you're trying to teach me. And then I'll move forward with that knowledge and I'll be a better person. But the truth is that we get to learn. Yes, there's still many, many things that I get to learn. And I'm excited to learn. I don't even know what questions to ask about some of the things that I will learn in the future. But that actually kind of excites me. Not even kind of, it really excites me. And if you're like me, or you have been like me, you're going to feel the same way. You're going to feel this kind of like, yeah, sounds cool, but like, I don't got time for that. I don't got time to watch a video and wait till the next day and watch another video and wait till the next, and so on and so forth. But this is the whole point, is that when we consume information that we've never heard before, because I can tell you fairly confidently that what you will learn in the first video alone will have you question everything that's got you to this point. Now, maybe some of the information that Danielle speaks about in that first video, because she's the one that created it, maybe you've heard this information before. Maybe you feel like you've done the work. Maybe you feel like you have this elevated state of consciousness. But have you taken the time to slow down, to reflect on it, to go back to it, to consume the information again, to reflect again, to really integrate it into your being? Knowing that what got you to here will not get you to your next elevated state. And that next elevated state, just so we're clear, is not painless. It will be painful. It will come with massive amounts of discomfort. It will have you question everything that's got you to this point. And that's the whole point of why we set this up the way that we did. Because then you will consume the next video. And then you will have 24 hours again to reflect, consume, learn, reflect again, integrate, share what the experience is like for you, and keep going through this whole experience. And then by the end of it, you will be invited into a container, a tribe, where you will meet other people that are also on that same journey. Other people that have also said, you know what? I'm going to go check this thing out. I don't even know what it is, but I like this guy's energy and I like the stories that he's telling and the place that he came from and where he is now, because you might just be meeting me for the first time and you might think, this guy's freaking nuts. You might also have known me for 10 years and seen my evolution to get to this point and realize, man, whatever he's drinking, I want it. Whatever your scenario is, I encourage you to dive into this and then realize that there is a whole world available to you. There is a whole world of possibilities available to you. And there's a whole world of other people that will lift you up, that will hold you high, that will dance on this journey with you, and will do it in such a blissful state, knowing that it's all within us already. This state, this desire, the abundance, all of these things that you are seeking right now already exists. You just have to believe it. Now, if that's caught your attention and you're thinking all of the things that I just thought, either this guy's nuts, or I don't got time for this, or all right, I'll go check it out, or F yes, I can't wait to watch video 1, whatever your scenario is, I encourage you to do it right now and do it without regrets, do it without hesitation. Even if it's this guy's crazy, say it, close this damn video down and go do something intentional. Go do something with committed action that's going to make your life better right now. That's going to help you become a better version of yourself right now. Because if you're still watching this and you haven't taken action, that's my point. Go do it. Go take action. It could be exactly what you've been looking for, even though you didn't even know you were looking for it. And that's really everything that I have to say on this podcast right now. I wasn't sure exactly what direction I'd go with it, but I just knew that I just got done a podcast interview. The energy was high. I was feeling really good. And I didn't want to slow down that flow state by writing a bunch of notes and overthinking all the stuff I was going to say. I just wanted it to come out naturally and authentically. And I'm hoping that it connects with you, the person that's listening right now. And I'll end with this, which is, here's how you can go find it. Naturally, it'll be linked up around this video as well, but thesourcecollective.net. Go to thesourcecollective.net. You're going to see a bunch of information on that page, but there is one call to action, which is to get the video series. You're going to enter your name and your email, and then you will be instructed to go check that email, your email inbox, and all of the instructions that you need to start getting into that world and to start exploring this information that you've been seeking. It'll be in your inbox. And then just follow along. And then I'll see you inside the container. That's the part that excites me the most, is that this is a call out to my people, the people that I know that I'm destined to support with my gifts, to help them amplify their impact, to step into that greatest version of themselves, that highest self. It's my purpose. It's why I'm here. I'm doing it for me first. I'm doing it for my concentric circles out from there, my family, my sons, my clients, my friends, my entire network of influence, and anybody else that happens to come across this video. So, this was a fun one. I'm going to have to do a few more episodes off the cuff like this. So thank you so much for listening. I am truly grateful for every second that people listen to me speak about my truth with the intention of helping elevate others. We'll see you again. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Trevor Turnbull Show. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please consider subscribing on my YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast platform, and leave me a review. I'd love to hear from you. Now, until next time, remember, today is a beautiful day of opportunity. Trust that you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. So be grateful, be curious, and be brave.